So interesting enough for me, and I think it's quite similar to a lot of other different stories that people have had. But it all started with healing with me. I felt very connected, and it felt very natural to to help people with different ailments, whether it's body work. I eventually started getting into a little bit of meditation, which, other types of energetic healing came through, and, just I started being able to work on people in that way a little bit. And then the full activation, again, I always link it to a contact experience, which was very interesting for me. So 3 nights in a row in Encino, California, in my mom's backyard. I used to live in the kind of garage connected, the room connected to the garage. So you step out, I'm in the backyard. So I spent a lot of time in the backyard. And 3 nights in a row, there was this triangle shaped craft up in the sky for 45 minutes, moving just enough for me to know that that's not a star, and taking shape here and there. So 3 nights in a row, this was happening. And I felt very strongly that there was some sort of information or some sort of transmission I was supposed to get. And I felt it was very distorted. And the fourth night, I was scheduled to go to a Bashar. This was like 1992 or 93 or somewhere around then. That's how kind of long this has been for me. And I went to a Bashar channeling. I'm sure you all know, or if you don't, Bashar's very amazing information that is coming through ET contact. And I asked Bashar what this was, and it was very interesting because he went into his, what do you call it, cosmic library for 30 or 40 seconds. We're all like at the edge of our seat. And he comes back with one word, Lily. And I was like, what is this Lily? It's like, you can mean anything. I really didn't, I was really trying to figure this out. And then months later, in my room, I woke up at 3 a.m. and this vibration started in my head. And it started from a very dull vibration. And it just grew until I was actually doing this, feeling like my head was possibly going to explode. That's kind of where it was. But once it reached the highest point of vibration, this amazing, beautiful ET appeared in front of me 4 feet away. Clear, I can see the glare, there's some sort of light shining on her, and you can see the glistening in her skin, and beautiful Asian humanoid being. But again, we all feel like when this happens, or if this was ever going to happen, that we'd be prepared for it. And it's like, we're ready, and at that point, I've always believed in it. I still was not ready, because at that point, the fear started from my solar plexus in that same vibrational state, that once it got to the highest point of fear, she disappeared. And it was very interesting the way she disappeared. There was this, remember in the 80s when you would turn off a TV, there'd be that line? Like when she disappeared, that line was there. So fast forward a little more than that, to I think it was like 6 or 7 months later, I'm hitchhiking to Missouri for a rainbow gathering, and I'm camped out at the healing camp, working on people, and there's something, and then when I put my hands on her back, it was like this whole movie in rewind playing back, and I seen like her hallway, her bedroom, what her backyard looks like through a window, like pictures on her hallway. Like, it was so vivid to me. And then I saw us like making love, and then I saw us making love with another being in the room. And it just hit me that now what Bashar was talking about, he said, Lily, that ET that came into my room, her name is Lily, and this girl that I was met in the Rainbow Gathering, her and I are the parents of this ET daughter named Lily. And after I found that out, that's when the channel really fully activated and my meditations were getting more powerful. And that's when I started downloading all these different types of healing and grid work, and crystal healing came through. I didn't even know what crystal healing was. And it just started doing grids on people. And then I saw a book in a crystal shop with grids on people. I was like, whoa, I'm doing this. So my full on activation was from an ET contact that ended up, I know it's crazy to sound, but it's possibly being my daughter. So that's kind of the long and the short of it.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's amazing how kind of one experience leads to another experience, and how that,
To all of us, this galactic library, so it was really more of a remembering, but that activation was just like what set it all in motion, I guess, for me.
So we talked a lot in the last session about time and how like we can't really wrap our heads around it yet. Do you think that um this daughter of yours is in the now or in the past or in the future, or what, how do you make sense of that?
Yeah, it's always been interesting. Yeah, I really feel like the past, the future, and now is, and the past, the future, and this moment, and this reality is all happening at the same time. You know, I started having experiences also meeting a lot of my star family and different beings like the mantis and Arcturian and Lyrian and seeing these beings and traveling with these beings in some of these regressions that I've had, and then remembering that these beings were just future selves, and it's all in the same exact moment. So I feel like, and I've heard it from so many people that were it was like an accordion, and it's just, when it's like that, feeling you're in this reality. When you open it up, you're in all these different dimensions. So and so I've been able to kind of validate that through my experiences as well.
Interesting. So what do you think of your Adrian self here? Like, are we these like, what do you make sense of what we're supposed to be doing now? And I mean, yeah, how do you make sense of your life as a person?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I feel like, we are infinite beings. There's no beginning or there's no end to us. So that we have this endless amount of whatever, if you want to even call it, time to, learn how to work with, karmic debt is a big part of this that I feel. It's one of the reasons I became plant-based, and with all the different triggers and deep rooted programming that we're all like still, even super spiritual conscious people, myself included, are always trying to, um, you know, figure out how to move through and not bring old habits and old realities and old like programming into this new way of moving forward, and remembering that like it's really all karmic debt. We have an infinite amount of time to get it right, but what I feel we're getting right is to learn how to live in our hearts fully. And there's different ways of collecting debt, perfect, like positive debt, or even negative karmic debt, or there's so many levels to that. So it's really just a learning to get to that point of ascension. It's kind of like I always like to refer to it as um, being in a hot air balloon, and we're just dropping sandbags to ascend, and that those sandbags are like karmic debt, you know. And the more that we put on, whatever that be, how we treat people, how, you know, how we treat our animal family, the planet, or, you know, how we go about our, you know, our day. Even in Christianity, there's so many different, it comes up in so many different ways through the spiritual communities, wondering if, you know, the religious, you know, Christianity, even then, even with reading some of those teachings, like Jesus always said, I am the way, but if you really research the way he was and the way he walked, it was very pure, you know, even pure of even thought. So getting to that point to where we can even be super pure of thought, and then living in a non-physical reality, and, you know, levels of even that type of density, where we're even non-physical beings. So I feel like in this life, getting to that point to where I was in the music industry, I was about to start, you know, working in film, like really deeply, because I've been working in that for a long time, and I really wanted to pursue that. And then finally getting this transmission after I was ready to start casting a movie, and and I got it financed, and I was ready to start, you know, shooting in Guatemala, and this amazing transmission came through so clear. It says, put this on hold and start DisclosureFest Foundation as this platform. And again, that download wasn't super clear at the beginning, but then it, you know, just like a download, it was at 10% when I got it, and it was at 100% almost a year later, when I finally found out what it was, this amazing platform to help people in an activation through a huge mass meditation festival that's, you know, such an activation, and now is like one of the 3 largest mass meditations in the world, to doing these initiatives of helping people remember that even being of service, is a huge part of this, spiritual, you know, evolution, spiritual, like acceleration that's going on, or conscious acceleration, that, you know, for remembering in this really intense, you know, reality, this construct that we're in with business, with survival mode, with rent, and all the things we need to do to still have that time to be of service and step out of service to self for a minute. That was one of the missions through that as well, is just really putting this platform together to help remind people that's a very important part of our evolution, is being of service.
That's amazing that you really you got the, you got the intuition that you should do it and that you followed it, because sometimes it's so hard. You're like, but wait, I was going that way. I was walking that way. You want me to walk this way? You know, so that's, we're so happy that you've done that. And I want to talk about this, the power of this mass meditation. I want to share also, we did a poll about this, and we got some interesting results. So
Amazing.
let me just share my screen. So we had, you know, a lot of people that took the survey had already had an experience doing mass meditation. So we had 73% do that. And, you know, do you believe mass meditation can change the outcome of mass reality? We got 100% right there as a response.
Oh,
So
wow.
tell us a little bit about your experience with it. Like, did it fulfill what you thought it would? And tell us about the work and what you do with the crystals as well, which is so
Oh,
fascinating.
wow. Yeah. No, it's been such an amazing experience. So I mean, I wasn't honestly like supposed to lead the mass meditation at first. Quite honestly, wasn't planned that way at all. I was finding gurus and yoga teachers, and spiritual leaders and things like that, and it was really interesting. When we were planning this and we put all this marketing, it seemed like people, were starting to kind of like battle over who gets to do it. It was really, really interesting, which got these amazing transmissions to to tell me that I was like, I'm supposed to do it because I know the intention. That's what I got from it. It's like, the pure intention that you're. So it's really important with mass meditation because you're sitting in front of so many thousands of people that are now visualizing the same thing, the same change together. So it's such a huge responsibility. And so I'm not a meditation teacher or anything like that, but my meditations have always been super visual. I work with chakras. I work with I'm very visual. I'm a seer, so I guide people through ways of seeing our reality a bit different. And that is kind of the way it was. So, like, one memory that was really profound was in Washington D.C. We brought the festival there, and I booked out the National Mall and put a huge stage in front of the Lincoln Memorial Steps, and it was the Wayne's World scene. Like everyone was surrounded by the pool, meditating in front of the steps. It was really beautiful. Many thousands and thousands of people. And a lot of that was, again, world peace and, sending a lot of love to the politicians, because we were right there in DC, and going into the House, to Congress, and just filling that room with light and all sorts of really fun stuff. And we did a little bit of checking around after the meditation, and we found, and this was just a short period, we don't have the time or the resources to look. I wish we could just go back. This would be a good, cool thing if I can just have people go and research all after every meditation, different things. But in Washington, D.C. and New York, there wasn't a murder in 2 weeks after that, which is like never happened. So that was one thing that was really researched, and it was like never happened. So I was like, wow, that's huge. And that's just, how many lives were saved with that. So I think mass meditation is such a beautiful thing. It's so powerful. It can really flip this reality that we're all, is planetary reality we're all facing right now, into such a beautiful positive thing, which it's already heading there. And I mean, I think with mass meditation, we definitely could, visualize the planet we want to be living in at this moment. And so it's such a profound thing. So yeah, all about it.
That's so incredible. That's so incredible. Yeah. The studies do show, the Maharishi University has done all the studies, and it does work. It reduces car accidents, crime, like all of these things, we understand that. And what's so cool is that coherent meditation is stronger than chaos. So you don't need that many people to do it.
Right.
So that's just so powerful. And I was reading the other day that the monument is actually like, because of the components of the stones that are made, it's an amplification device. So
Mhm.
doing it there may have been a very powerful place to do it.
Yeah, very powerful. A lot of people don't know a lot of the work we do behind the scenes. So even with that DC event, me and 4 other light workers did spent 37 hours 1 week prior to the mass meditation, reversing the pentagram grid that the streets of DC are made in. I don't know if you researched it. Like, the streets are actually made into a pentagram where it feeds into the White House, and then another ley line goes right to the house. We spent 37 hours with light workers, bearing crystals at every point and every crossing of that pentagram, putting light pillars, columns of light, and then supercharging that with a mass meditation. So it's a lot of work we do, and a lot of the transmissions that came through with this was to actually go and go and travel through these different earth grid. I'm going to turn this off. Sorry, that was me, by the way. And travel to different places and bury crystals, and a lot of things what we do with our mass meditations. I don't know if you were experiencing that. I have a bowl of over 3,000 crystals, 4,000 crystals sometimes. And every one of those people in front of the stage or in the live stream get to supercharge these crystals with their heart frequency. And these are the crystals that I take all over. I've done probably over 4,000 grids in the last 5 years. And these are the crystals that we kind of bury all over the place in different types of meditations that we do at these markers before we fire up a certain grid for some very amazing reason that was downloaded in transmission.
That's super fascinating. Yeah, I would like you to explain this to people that don't understand it. So I understand that, so a crystal is like an energy storage device, just like ice is. Like we're starting to realize ice has memory, right? That's like it's a crystal of a certain type. But crystals, quartz crystals, you know, carry a lot of information. So talk about that and how and ley lines themselves, like all the great cathedrals and things are built on ley lines. Like how do you can you explain that a little bit more, and how the electromagnetics do you think work? Like does it mean that in those points those supercharge even more our meditations, or what needs to be done on those?
Yeah, I wish I knew those answers. Like I said, I'm not a super scholar in all of this. It's just these transmissions come through and I surrender and listen and trust. I guess that's what it is. But yes, these crystals, these quartz, all sorts of different gems and minerals, they take, thousands and millions of years to grow. And within those thousands and millions of years, wherever they are on the planet, they are collecting information. So things that even happen on the planet during the times of their growth are stored into these crystals. And I'm talking about anything that could be happening on this planet, any shifts, any alignments, anything, it's all in there. A lot of times when you get a crystal and you're like, oh my God, I love this crystal so much. But at some point in the time that you've had this crystal, sometimes you just give it away and you wonder, like, man, I love that crystal so much. Why did I give it away? You received the download from that. You know what I mean? And then now that download was, and the person you're giving that to are now are calling in and recreate the reality to receive that information as well. So when it came down to gridding, it was very, very interesting, because basically I do a very deep meditation where I channel and connect to the Earth's core and the sun's core, creating a pillar column between the sun's core, my heart, and the Earth's core, and start beginning this pillar of light that I fill until it bursts on both ends and goes to like infinity. And that's my way of quickly doing a meditation to connecting to that source energy to receive the information, the transmissions that I am ready to receive. And when it comes to these griddings, what I do, what happens is I'll get like a place just comes through, and then the name of that place, and I'm like halfway in trance in meditation, halfway still scribbling on a piece of paper. And so I'll scribble down a place, and then next thing you know, a rock formation or something will come through, and I'll just draw it while I'm halfway in and out. And then if it's a road or if it's a tree or something will come through, and that's all the information I need to know for marker one. I know where it is. I know what date around I need to be there. I know if it's during the day or evening or sundown or whatever. All this information comes through, and then I move into 2 or 3 more of those. And then I pack my bags and I'm gone for a trip. And I do this a lot. And I teach actual like workshops on this type of meditations to do that. And actually some people have already been doing that through these type of these group channelings that I've been doing.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. It's so fascinating. You allow people to go into a meditation channel, write down through light language, then interpret their light language and know where the earth where we need to go. It's
Yeah,
fascinating. It's a really huge movement of people doing this and pouring their healing into these special places.
right.
That's so fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to show
So,
you one of these, if I can just
okay.
show you maybe one of them, how they actually come out. Um,
So while you're looking for that, I just wanted to let everyone know we're about to go into our breakout groups.
Yeah.
Tonight's theme for the breakout groups, and Adrian, you're just going to stay with me here, and anybody else who wants to stay, we're going to continue the interview, which will then post up for people who are in the breakout rooms to check out. So the topic tonight is going to be meditation. So what happens in your meditations? Have you made contact in your meditations? How do you do it? What is your practice? What do you need help with? How does it work for you? Have you been in another mass meditation? These are the kinds of things you guys can discuss. And then always, if you need support in your life, you can also ask for that, unrelated to meditation, right? We're here to support each other. And each person, you're going to be in groups of 4. Each person is going to get about 5 minutes, and that person should be able to speak uninterrupted. If they want feedback, they can ask for it. And you'll have one person that'll be a timekeeper in each group just to keep everything moving. And again, I'll start the breakout groups. If you don't want to join a breakout group, you don't have to. You can stay in this main room. So just ignore the message, and we'll see everybody in 20 minutes. In the first section, I'm going to be moving people around a little bit to make sure that we have the right number in each group. So don't start getting into a deep share until a couple of minutes in. So here we go. Okay. And Adrian, why don't you share what you were gonna share, and also talk a little bit more about this process of taking people into this channel where they're interpreting their own light language, and maybe you can talk a little bit about that as
So
well.
for an example of like what I get, like, you know, and a lot of people get the same thing when we do these. So here is, I don't know if you can see it. Oh, I have to, you can't see it with this, sorry. There's a background. But yeah, I'm not gonna be able to show it to you this background. I don't know how to take it off real quick. So what was that last question?
Yeah, so just describe a little bit how these work for you, with the sessions that you do where you teach people to listen to where they need to go, right? To
Right.
listen to where they need to do the grid work, and listening to their own, light language and how they interpret it.
Yeah. It would have been nice to show you this, but you really can't see it with this background thing. But yeah, so the first part of this channeling is you kind of, or once you get to that place, and some people take a little longer than others, and some people don't, is you start scribbling all these different symbols that just come through, and they can look all different. I've seen all different types. I've seen really, really interesting ones. And then I take you through another meditation on how to decode that, through your hands. And then from there, that's when the rest of this information comes through, where you fill out the different markers that you're going to do. And once you fill out, let's say you have 3 markers, so three places. You go to one place, you know when you're supposed to go there, you do your thing, you do your meditation, you fire up your column, you bury your crystals, all the different things, and you start heading to the next place. And then now, after you've activated this next marker, now you're sending energy between the 2 markers. Okay. Now you're visualizing this amazing energy bouncing back and forth, these 2 markers, as you make your way to the third. And then you actually do this third, and now you have a 3 points, so right, and you fire up, and so now you're sending this energy between these 3 points. And these are 3 points. I've had one in the Sphinx in Egypt, to where I had the other one in Las Vegas, and the other one in Mount Shasta, and that was my triangle. And once you go and you put your energy on all 3 points and fire it up very in light speed, that you see this light energy traveling to all 3 points. And then what I visualize is bursting of this beautiful triangle pillar, and that activates that whole grid. So the trip is just doing markers, but at the end, when you finally finish, you're actually firing up the grid. A lot of times there's 3, sometimes there's 4, sometimes there's 5. But 3 is a big one that comes up for me. And they're always for different reasons, you know, ascension, acceleration periods, helping trapped light worker souls that have been caught up in drug addiction or mental illness to help get back into their bodies. So many different, I mean, there's so many different, dozens and dozens of these that have come through. Like, this is the reason you're doing this grid, and it's going to be for you. It's nothing, it's not so important about what I did. It's teaching this to other people, and they get their own reasons, and it's very powerful stuff, equally as powerful. Yeah. Does that make
What
sense?
is,
Is that really done like that? Because
yeah,
honestly,
yeah,
I didn't know about this until it just came through. So I love to
yeah.
hear somebody else's.
It would make sense that there's 3 because that's a triangulation, you know what I mean? That's a triangulation of points. So that would make sense. What is your feeling about, if we all need to heal, right? We all, that's like something that's universal to all of us. What is your advice to people about healing, since you are essentially a master healer?
I wouldn't say that, but yeah, I think we all are master healers. Um, you know, trusting and surrendering to like your ability, you know, and really opening your channel. I think that's, you know, what a lot of times what's going on is we have so many dormant areas within our spirit, you know, whether they be chakras in your field, cracks in your field, just really not connected to your channel, or there's flickering going on within your centers. Um, so it's really getting to that place, and if you and if it is healing, that is really, there's all sorts of it. There's sound healers, there's energetic healers, there's physical body workers, and then you know, there's people that heal through their music, you know, or through their art, you know, as painters or artists. So there's so many ways to activate this, and I feel like really is getting to that point to really fully understanding that that is your dharma, is to be a healer. um, it's an interesting word, healer. And really surrender and find out ways to learn ways to open yourself up to that cosmic library, that, and remember there's all this information that we've known, and start implementing it. Because once we start doing that, even if you're a massage therapist and you're good at, you know, rubbing shoulders, like for me, I do this thing that's really interesting, and it's I didn't know what it was. I was a body worker for so long, and then I was seeing pictures, like little pictures, while I was on people. So I'm a big movie buff, so I figured that they were like movies like that I've seen. But then when I started channeling while I do body work, I noticed that they turned into like actual scenes. And I'm like, well, I haven't seen this scene. And then I noticed that these scenes were very traumatic for everyone. All these scenes were very traumatic. And then I realized that and they're only over certain parts of the body. So now I just started figuring out that, okay, now I'm able to find where people are storing trauma in past lives, and I'm actually seeing the root of a trauma that was recreated in the life over and over and over again and never healed. So that is something that was really profound for me, because now I'm able to help people go back to why and where it started, and take them through a full, really intense visual scene, to bring up the emotion of that trauma, and then help them release it and heal it finally. And then from there, it's like pulling a string through all these different lives that they went through, almost the same type of healing, almost like, you know, whether it's the reverse of it, or the same thing over and over again. Whether, I don't want to start, you know, naming things that it could be, but you can tell from that. And that just came through. It's not something that I started doing. I started just doing body work, and then that started coming through because of allowing that channel to open and be able to now, you know, do my form of channeling through with meditation. I mean, with the body work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how easy it is for us to just keep repeating things in our lives, you know what I mean? And then to really be sympathetic to the fact, as you say, that this could be something that happened way back, you know, in another generation, you know? And so we get to be gentle with ourselves, and we also get to be heroes and kind of
Mm,
do, you know, when we can, and really, because once it's healed, then you know, there's so many benefits to that. It's so hard to heal, you know, it's so
yeah.
painful, it's so hard, so arduous. But then, but yeah, it's really powerful on the other side.
And those
So
are the
what?
sandbags. Those are the sandbags I was talking about in our in your like ascension process. If you align with that word, or you know, those are the sandbags. You know, like that we can just start dumping. And they're just, a lot of times these are the sandbags you're unaware of. You know, I've
Yeah,
found out so many of mine I was unaware of, until I just was, and it just opened a profound direction for me to help in my self healing.
yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about your work with Feed Our Soul, because it's been such a powerful thing for you and other people, and the people that have gotten to participate to support it, and then the people that are receiving. It's a huge thing, and I want you to tell us how it started and how it's going and what your mission is with it.
Yeah, that's a beautiful one. You know, so every year we add a new initiative. In 2018, we started our Feed Our Souls initiative. And that one really came through because of our sisters and brothers out there that are experiencing houselessness, and living on the streets. And we started this program where we first started going into um, like in Skid Row here in LA. There's a couple parks. I started doing events there, and we'd bring food. We'd feed about 500 to 1,000 people. But there's also, it'd be like a little mini festival within Skid Row, and there'd be like a healing sanctuary, a space for women. So many different women are experiencing so much sexual abuse in Skid Row, and mental illness, and so in a children's area, a place we'd have like over 3,000 articles of clothing. You can kind of we do citywide. Uh, you know, where people just drop off some clothes. And so we had showers. We have showers, you know, barbers, different. I mean, it's such an amazing thing. So we would be doing these every month. Since COVID, we've had to kind of do it a different way, but we're still doing it every month, where we are feeding anywhere from 300 to 500 people. But now we do care bags, and we just drive through and hand them out. It's been really helpful for the communities out there. They really appreciate it. And there's such a food shortage going on, especially after the EDD is stopped. The unemployment money, the assistance money that was going out there, that stopped about a month ago, and it's created a very huge food shortage, as well as there's been a lot of violent crime starting to pop up again because of everyone stressing out about it. So it's really important. So we have a lot of amazing people like Follow Your Heart, that's been a huge partner with us for many years. GT's Kombucha, Califia Farms, so many amazing partners. We have them on our website. You can see them all. And then even now, we're starting to work with Mark Sims, and he's going to start coming in and helping with our Feed Our Souls, and combining our two different individual nonprofits, and doing some work together, because eventually this whole thing was to lead to some housing solutions. And we've been collecting a lot of data from many of our sisters and brothers out there that are ready to possibly live in a very, you know, non-toxic, positive, sustainable community. You know, they already know how to live in a community. Now it's like a non-toxic, sustainable community you want to bring into their reality. with amazing partners and amazing ideas. And we've got a good over 200 people now that we've discovered on Skid Row and that are ready to be in a beautiful place that's not dealing with drug addiction or much mental health issues. So it's really a beautiful initiative, and it's going to help get a lot of our sisters and brothers off the streets and then into a very beautiful, sustaining community that can develop beautiful tools for the planet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so powerful. That's so great. Yeah, imagine the energy and warmth and love that they could create. It's just powerful.
Yeah.
And I know that you fund some of your work through this new amazing crystal line. And my friends just came to visit from LA, and they're like, "Look at our cool, like amazing Disclosure Fest," and they were all excited. They were like washing it wrong side out, and like just take so
Oh,
care of it
wow.
because
They
it's
were
so
listed.
special to them. Tell us about
Yeah.
that and how you're innovating with that. It's fascinating.
Yeah. So thank you for bringing that up. So beautiful. Yeah. I don't pay myself a salary from Disclosure Fest. So my sustainability comes from merchandising. For a decade, I've been trying to figure out how to infuse crystals into the shirt inks, and it's been quite a challenge. And now we got to this point finally to figure out a way to. I've got over 37 crystals infused now into these inks, pretty thick amount of them. So you're actually feeling them. They're printed in a shop that has 432 soundscapes playing in the background. I teach this meditation to my printers that basically where they connect again to the earth's core, to their heart, to the sun's core, back to their heart. And once they feel their heart, it's a manual printer. I don't want to do this on any automatic printers because I need that meditation of pushing the ink from your heart onto the shirt. And then they're supercharged on a biomat for 24 hours before they're shipped out, and you get a little stick of sage with them and some crystals, and you do your own little blessing ceremony when you get home, and it's like this really cool thing. And they're very very I mean, I keep wearing them and I was like, wow, I feel them. Everyone that calls me that like got one is like, man, I feel it, these are amazing. So yeah, I'm super stoked, and every single dollar that goes in is again to help fund our initiatives and to keep doing our Feed Our Souls and our Starseed initiative, working with children in children's schools, which is the next thing that we're doing now. Well, we've been doing it now for a while, but now we're about to move into this next phase of it, is bringing a permanent curriculum into children's schools where these children can, before they even start their classes in the morning, they are in mass meditation together. So there's a school we're about to start with almost 500 students every morning are going to be in mass meditation before class. A class in school now is yoga. Another class is going to be meditation, sustainability, composting, like things that I wanted to learn in school that I had to wait till my 18 years to finally start bringing into my life. Now children from kindergarten through 8th grade are going to have experience to have a permanent curriculum. In this way, I have plant-based Mondays, where it's we're just compassion for animals and plant-based options every day. So that's Darcy's initiative, and that one's going to be, you're going to be hearing a lot about that one soon, because now we're actually going to start having meetings with LAUSD and bringing vegan chefs into schools and all sorts of really amazing things.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So incredible. Yeah, other cities could replicate what you guys are pioneering. So was this the initiative that came this year? Are you really adding a new initiative every
I
year?
know, it's crazy. No, that one was 2019, and so we've been at it for a few years now. 2020 was our Every Elder initiative, where we started going into assisted living, nursing homes, and helping to empower our elders. A lot of them, I feel, were experiencing loneliness, and they have this tremendous life experience. So just to go in and listen to an elder's life experience, and then also share yoga and meditation and sound healing and plant-based foods and the whole thing. And we started doing this in 2020. We only got to a few, and then we had to put a hold on it. And we've been trying to figure out how to do it virtually, and hopefully we can get back to going back into these homes, because that was amazing 2020. Like, we're going to kind of turn it into our 2021. If we still can't do it, it'll be our 2022 initiative. And after that, we're going into whatever our next initiative is, going into drug rehabilitation centers.
That's
So every
amazing.
year it's gonna, I know it's crazy now. Wait till it gets to 30 initiatives. I don't know what to do.
That's so cool. Amazing. So what is your, we'll take one or two more questions. We'll bring people back from the breakout groups. If you guys have questions, feel free to add them into the chat here. So what do you make of disclosure right now? What do you make of the landscape and just in general of the spiritual community and how we're doing and what do
Yeah.
you see ahead?
I mean, it's like the disclosure that most people like relate to, which is ET and conspiracy disclosure, is definitely happening. It's we've never been at this place before, and it's going to be spiraling, and we're going to be seeing so much information and disinformation, as we always have. Which is why Disclosure Fest has never really been about that disclosure. It's always been about the disclosure of you and me. That disclosure is the most important part, because learning about ETs, for me, like when I learned about it, I was like, okay, because I was putting so much energy out into that. And then I wasn't still doing the inner work, which is another reason why I started Disclosure Fest too. Why it came through is I was going to all of these contacts. I don't even want to name the event, but these type of conferences, and noticed that I was being more addicted to the information than I was actually bringing the information home and utilizing it. And so the word disclosure and Disclosure Fest is really more about disclosure of yourself, and the remembering of, the reflection that you are of every living being, and the oneness in the universe. But yeah, as far as that disclosure that we all know about, it is coming. It's coming strong. There's a lot of disinformation out there, and dear friends like Dr. Richard Greer, or Stephen Greer, who's out there really pushing the positive ET contact thing, is a very important thing, because we're starting to hear so much about this narrative of the red flag invasion stuff, and we have to really be mindful and be ready for these amazing benevolent ET that are here to help us through this time, and be ready for this information, this flood of information that the public is completely unaware of within how our governments have been running, and wow, it's about to be just a landslide of information, and it's already happening, but it's going to now be happening in such a level, with people that are actually have still no clue, and they're just going to be flooded with this. And it's I'm just a lot of the meditations that I have has been kind of sending energy to help through that part. It's helping people just be ready for the information that's about to really flood through on a mainstream level.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. That was something that someone said to me recently, like, you want to explore all these dimensions and do all this stuff, but it can take you off track because you still have to deal with, you know, like you said, like be embodying love and all that. So you're talking about this information addiction, and you're talking about this big drop of a drop of information, and
Dark
having
information. Dark information.
right, yeah. So again, what's your kind of synthesis of where to guide people back to? Like where are you where are you where where are you guiding people to their North Star? Where are you pulling them into your heart? Where are you telling them to go?
Yeah, you totally cut out in most of that, but you're back now. Could you repeat the question?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you said this very astute thing about how we get addicted to information, and it can lead us off track where we don't even do the inner work that we're supposed to be doing, right? Because we're
yeah,
just consuming the information.
yeah,
Where would you direct us back to? Like
yeah,
where would you tell people to look for their North Star and focus
yeah.
there?
It's really interesting because it's all really programming, and it's deep rooted, and it's for so long, for so many years and lives. Um, so even someone like myself and you and many of our amazing people that have been doing so much of the conscious work, um, we all fall into these programs still, and a lot of these people that are at the cusp of remembering or not even close in their vibrational scale, it's gonna affect them in such a profound way, and the triggers and the impulses and the roots to where they go to is again fear state. It's always easy to get to that point, and even when it's hard for us, um, I can only imagine how hard it is. Like I struggle with it every day, and I can only imagine with someone that's just in the cusp or the verge of remembering is what it's going to do. So yeah, my advice is really getting back into your meditation practice and daily meditation practice, and remembering that like this is all an illusion, so we also are all creators that co-created this illusion together, and that we all have this power to to shift this reality into whatever reality that we would like. um, and as much as that sounds, difficult, it is literally that simple. But really getting back into the heart and bringing your meditation practice into your life daily. I'm even trying to remember to do that every day again. I used to do multiply meditate 2-3 times a day. Now I'm like struggling to get the time to do it once. And once you lose track of that, like a lot of things get unraveled, and finding your way back into your heart, and taking your steps through from that, um, energy, from that frequency is the way to move forward, and through meditation, and really learning about different ways to get out there, different groups, that are doing meditation groups, that are doing, women's groups, and divine masculine groups, and all these different ecstatic dance. There's so many things going on in your cities. Look for it and go out there, and just don't feed that information so much, because a lot of times when we hear something that's scared, that triggers us into a fear state, we just sit there and feed it. But if we can come back to the heart, and also because we've been so we've been wounded, and we created that wounding, um, that it's really important to just step away and kind of distract us a little bit with the good stuff: ecstatic dance, yoga, meditation, go to a sound bath, go to the beach at night, go on a hike, like lay on a tree. Just really just take nature into your life. I think is really what helps me. If I'm really stressed out, freaking out, like honestly, I go on one hike, lay on a rock for 20 minutes, like I'm a different person. So it's really not feeding the narrative and feeding that information and letting that information kind of rule your frequency.
Fascinating. Yeah, I remember you telling me once around a fire that, that when someone, riles you up or causes you to become off center, it's just sending them love and then moving on. Like it's important to know how to reset yourself, and like you said, like unplug from those things, and then go do that walk in the park or sitting on the rock.
Yeah,
All those suggestions were so powerful.
yeah, it's important.
Yeah. So I wanted to welcome everyone back from the breakout groups. Sorry, we had a little confusion there with those at the beginning. So thanks for sticking in there and getting set up there. You just mentioned, Adrian, this whole, the dream, the hologram kind of idea. And, next week, in 2 weeks, we're going to be having Riz Verk, who is the author of the simulation hypothesis and the simulated multiverse. And so he's just coming out with his new book, and he's going to be talking about the Mandela effect, quantum computing, and this whole, hypothesis is very fascinating ideas. So yeah, and I love, Adrian, how you put us in the driver's seat, right? So we really, that's what heart math always says. It's like, what have you fed the field today? With what energy have you done it? And we all know we're going to get curveballs. More curveballs are coming. And so we've got to anchor ourselves and be these pillars that we know we can be. So I wanted to invite anybody here in the group to ask any questions to Adrian, and also we have a couple really powerful meditators on the call tonight. I know Rob does a Power of Eight group, so I'd like to offer also, if anybody would like to share their meditation experiences, or something contact related or not, but something really powerful you've had. And that was Adrian's first suggestion to us when he said, make sure that you try to carve out that time every day, because once you get out of the practice, you're out of the practice, and then you're trying to figure out how to work back in. So if you'd like to share something now, you can raise your hand on the reactions button on the right hand side. And then if nobody would like to share, and remember, if you are sharing, we are going to be sharing this out and broadcasting it. So we request that if you share, you agree to that. And we'll also be sharing a release here in the chat. So if you'd like to share, go ahead and raise your hand. And then also, if you'd like to ask a question to Adrian, we can do that as well. Rob, would you like to talk? Okay, great. Would you like to talk a little bit about your Power of Eight experiences? Let me just.
Sure.
Sorry, my internet is so wacky today. I can't even pin people. It's so crazy. Here we go. Can't do it here. You can pin yourself, actually, Rob, I think. Here we go.
I just have to start talking. I just have to start talking. I'm hearing a wicked echo.
Okay.
I'm hearing a wicked echo. Very unusual. Zenka, could you mute yourself and see if that makes sense? Zenka, could you mute yourself? Okay, now let's try it. Doesn't work. Something's going on very strange here. Let me try to.
Why don't we come back to you? I'm going to have Susan come on real quick here. Susan, it's so good to have you. And I know you were, in the chat talking about how it was great to hear about what Adrian's doing in the schools, because you're also a pioneer in that. So you have the floor here. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
I'm very, very excited about what you're doing, because it's a very excited about what you're doing. Somebody else has there's feedback. It's somebody else has a thing open or something. Feedback. It's somebody else has a thing open or something. Their mic open. It's giving feedback. Okay. I think that's okay now. All right, so I'm excited because I've had a vision since I was in grade 1 of changing the world. And I knew it had to start with the children. I knew it had to start in the schools. And this all came out of, I had a near-death experience at age 2. And so I've had a lot of different kinds of experiences throughout my life that have I was in a coma for 2 weeks after the MMR vaccine. And I won't get into a lot of details about that, but that experience has given me a vision of what it is like to be fully conscious and aware and be in that space of unity and love. And so I always had difficulty with being on this planet. I kept asking, you know, why am I here? And by the time I was 4, I used to pray for a spaceship to come and take me home. I'd look out at the star Sirius and pray for it. And then I had my experience in 1971 with 5 Pleiadian ships in Niagara Falls. So I'm just jumping through it. And hearing your experience is just so enlivening and enlightening, and the importance of meditation is so vital and key. And this is something that we start our days with in the Peace School, which I started, and I'm regrouping it and bringing it out to the world and trying to bring it around to put it in Kenya and Belize and different places around the globe. I'd like to learn more about your school and how you started that, how you initiated it, how it grew, and I'd like to learn more about that. So that's where I'm at. And I know the meditations are vital because that's how we started our day. And we used to do one where we did meditation with, it was sort of like with song, and starting with doing the different tones, you know, the starting from the in the solar plexus and working our way up with our mouth closed, and then opening our mouths and letting the sound out after, you know, you fill the cave here and let the sound out. And it was so profound. The children absolutely loved it. This was kindergarten to grade 6. And the sound was so profound that you could hear all the different octaves and harmonics. It was like Pythagoras and the music of the spheres. So anyway, I know that kind of thing is really exciting. And I would like to learn more from you about that. I would love to connect with you at some point to go on about that. So I don't want to take up too much time here. So
That's great. Adrian, you can go ahead and speak. My computer's acting so crazy I can't pin you, but Rob, can you help pin Adrian too, since you're a co-host? Yeah, Adrian, why don't you tell us a little bit more about how you brought these elements into the school with your program, with the meditation and the food?
First of all, yes, Susan. First of all,
yes, Susan.
Zenka, could you mute yourself? See if it's up. Am I good now? Can you hear me? Yeah. So yeah, it was beautiful because, like I said, in 2018, we brought in our Starseed initiative, and that was very clear to start going into children's schools, and we're talking, you know, kindergarten and up, and still bring it into, you know, junior high and high school as well. It's really starting with the children, and because of our mass meditation initiative, which is, you know, a 20,000 person festival. We've always had over 60 workshops, 20 different stages. So like you got to think it's a full day of each stage has like 6 different speakers and facilitators and teachers, and these are all in the yoga, super conscious, mindful, you know, studies. So what I did is I just brought all of that into the schools, building a curriculum that really felt balanced. So what we started doing is partnering with different schools, and what we would do is we'd just come in one day of the month, and then that one day we would be there for 6-7 hours, and we would have the whole school participate in these different curriculums, independent from their normal studies that they do. And like I said, it was yoga, meditation, sound healing, music and movement, ecstatic dance, and just really helping these children find their expression and empower them to understand, you know, how such amazing, you know, miracles they are. We incorporated this one we did at an animal sanctuary where we had a whole a whole group of children learn how to heal with their hands. And then we went into the horse corral and we started painting the horses. And these are all horses dealing with glaucoma and cancer and all sorts of amazing things that these children were sitting there with activated charcoal painting these horses. And it's such a beautiful thing when you can kind of remind a child, you know, of their capabilities in a way before they get programmed with video games and all the things, you know. So yeah, that's kind of the way. And now it's evolved into, now we're figuring out ways to them to be permanent curriculums. Instead of us coming in one day of the month, it's an actual everyday practice. And finding these schools that are open to that, it's been quite a challenge, but it's starting to really open up. And you know, so that's kind of how it started.
Well, I'd really like to connect with you after. Is there some way I can?
Yes, for sure. Zenka, please.
Yeah, I can do that. I can make that happen, Susan. Awesome. So Mark, you're here. Go ahead and share. You're on mute, Mark.
Okay. Oh, okay. So my question to Adrian is, I was thinking by what you were describing, your experiences, making contact and all, it sounded also to me as the possibility is that you've done this for many lifetimes. And the experiences that you're having now, almost like you're naturally knowing kind of what to do. You never did this before, but you have a sense of doing things a certain way. So the question was, could this be from prior lifetimes that you've always been a healer and now it's coming back to you? Or do you think that this is your first lifetime as a healer?
I mean, I really resonate with the healer thing in multiple lives. I haven't experienced a life where I'm recalling it yet. It's just very familiar at this point, and I resonate with it. But that's only, I know, because of like I'm really experiencing a lot of lives where I've dealt with unresolved trauma, and I'm still working through a lot of that to get to kind of like, you know, help like clear my cup, you know, and like get that weight that's been kind of like dragging, you know, a little bit. And it's important stuff. Shadow work is so important. I'm feeling it hasn't, like I said, it hasn't came up fully where I'm like, you know, because I've had vivid experiences of lives. And that's one that hasn't really, but I super resonate with that. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because hearing that helps also when you do go deep into meditation, where things like that can actually pop up. And yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, I know Rob was going to mention something about meditation.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak. I actually, before coming to this, I heard about the DisclosureFest before, but I never knew that. I'm not sure if I heard it right. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I never knew that you also, or your organization, work with light codes as well. I'm also a light.
I can see it back there. Yeah, right. I'm totally getting activated right now just looking at it.
Yeah, you can find more about that. I was gonna bring that up. I'd like to actually work with you on this as well. But before I get to that, the question that I had was, I heard you speak about crystals, using crystals. I haven't used crystals a lot until maybe about a year and a half ago, when I started using them. But then I started hearing comments from people that some had concerns about extracting them in a proper way, not harming the land and whatnot. How do you make sure of that? I mean, they're selling, I've seen same crystal being sold for $5, $10. I know some of them are fake, but some of them are actually real. And sometimes I think that how are they able to, sell them so cheap online unless there's a reason behind it?
Yeah.
So how would you go about around that? That's I'll let you answer that, then I'll talk about some other stuff.
Yeah, it's been a thing for sure. I've always, because I'm always about protecting our earth, and over mining is a thing. A lot of these crystals get mined out. A lot of like Madagascar crystals, because Madagascar is like stuff that's like we've been discovering new minerals in Madagascar, and then all of a sudden we've not seen these anywhere in other parts of the world, and that they're just over mining, and then they're mined out, and then that's all you get.
Right.
And yeah, it's definitely been a thing. I think that's I've been a big component on like crystals do come to you. So like if you're at a crystal shop, and set that intention with your crystal, I'm blessing you, and I'm sending you love, and this is really, but as far as stopping that, it's just, yeah, it's quite impossible. There's a whole,
Right.
that's a whole thing.
Right.
Unfortunately, yeah, these are super powerful, and they do come to you, and then when you're done with them, you give them to someone, and it comes to them, and you get your download.
I actually ended up giving them out to my kids.
Yeah,
because I just felt like no more connections with me anymore. I just went past that, and I just handed over to them. But
what I keep forgetting to tell you people is like, with the gridding, all my crystals eventually end up back into the ground.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's really interesting. And I mean, I've literally buried in 2018, I buried like 15 crystal skulls, like probably like $6,000 worth of skulls. You know what I mean? Right now I'm working with a new meteorite that I found out that came from the Sirius system, supposedly. And I've just been so gravitating from that. Like now these are going to start getting buried into the earth in all sorts of different places. So, when you're done with them, bury them. Who knows? I mean, there's your way of like, giving it back.
Giving back.
Yeah.
Right. That's true. And now about the light codes, I know I saw your eyes gleaming towards the one behind me.
Yeah.
This is like I said, I'm also a light language speaker and an artist. I actually started being an artist about a year and a half ago, actually more than about a couple years ago, after having some recent experiences and contacts. And I have ongoing contacts. I actually had a past life regression, a QHHT regression a couple of days ago. It made a little bit more clear with some of my connections with the past and traumas and whatnot. But this right behind is part of something called, I'll let you see. This is just a small part, a very small part of something called the Reconnect code that came to me as download about roughly about a year and a half ago. And it took me about a month and a half to complete this document. There are 3 versions of it, and I'll probably share the link online later on. It's a Google Drive that I opened up. It's free for access for everyone. Anyone can access it and look at it. But it's supposed to represent information from an alliance of multiple beings and groups of beings from all across, not just the universe, the multiverse. And some people look at it, think of different things. Some people have said they could connect with their star families like Arcturus or Andromeda and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, when I was listening in the beginning, because I was in the middle of something, while this show started, all of a sudden I heard light language or light codes. I say, okay, maybe there is a reason I needed to attend this event today.
Well,
but I'll be more than happy to connect with you and share some more stuff. That would be great.
I would love that. Yes,
I would
please.
definitely love that.
Yes.
Yeah, and go ahead and share the Google Drive link again here, MK, and we'll also put it in the recording notes as well.
We'll do that. Thank you so much.
Okay, Rob.
All right. So I have my headphones on, so it shouldn't be feeding back now. It doesn't seem to be. Can you hear me? Okay, because I'm not coming through these headphones at all now. It's weird. Anyways, um, part of my dharma is to teach meditation. I teach to seniors here up in the Appalachian Mountains, and I probably, well, before COVID anyways, I touch anywhere from 30 to 100 people a year and teach them how to meditate. One of the things I've learned is that if for whatever reason you stop meditating, you can always go back to it, and it's easier the next time. And it gets easier. The more you meditate, the easier it gets. One of the things I tell people is to take any opportunity, like if you stop at a red light, hey, drop into the body, take a couple of breaths. And the more you do this, the easier it becomes. It does. One of the reasons for this is, I'm going to tell you about two reasons. The first reason for this is because it creates a more coherent thought. And so once you're able to create coherent thoughts without all these thoughts bouncing around in your head, distracting you and pulling you this way and that, and taking your attention, running off in different directions, you're able to connect with the field a little bit better. And this is where the power is. This is where the healing energy is. One of the things that I've discovered in this Power of Eight group is that you can connect with this field and direct it, and it really makes a big effect if you can meditate. And it's this coherent thought that does it. The second reason to meditate is because it allows you to calm the mind. And once you reach a certain level of calmness without all of these distracting thoughts, that little voice that keeps coming through, it keeps telling you things, your intuition, messages from your spirit guides, telepathic communications, whatever, they become a lot more clear. They're easier to hear without all of the distracting noise. It's like living next to a railroad tracks with trains running on them all the time. When you meditate, it's like moving to the country where there's just maybe a few birds chirping in the trees, and the rest of the time you can relax a little bit. And the more you relax, the more you can calm down the mind, slow the mind down. Just feel it slowing down a little bit as you practice meditation. The more you can slow that thought process down, you can open yourself to hear the intuitions come in. For the Power of Eight group that I've been doing, we've met 3 times now as to actually work on people. And the last time was last Tuesday, and it was probably the most successful session we've had. One of our members is kind of in rough shape, I guess. She's got major inflammation symptoms all over her body. Neurological problems, just a whole variety of symptoms, but she's puffed up. She couldn't make a fist. She was talking about the group. She couldn't close her hand to make a fist. That's how swollen she was on Tuesday. Wednesday, after we worked on her, Wednesday she got up, she was nauseous, she felt terrible, went back to bed again. I sent her an email, told her to drink distilled water and flush the system out because she was so clogged up, and she did. And by Thursday morning, she could make a fist, and she hadn't been able to do that in a year, a long time. And so today she feels a lot better. I mean, she's up doing stuff. It's like she's got a new lease on life. We'll probably work on her again next Tuesday because that's the way it goes. So the Power of Eight group works really well. And this is with a very small group of people. We have, I think, 6 or 7, just 6 last time. But if you get just a small group of very focused individuals, meditators are the best because they can keep that coherent thought going and really connect to the field. and it actually creates a very powerful area. You know, it's amazing. It's just like a big tent or something. You could pull people in, and man, you've got them. I mean, I've been doing Reiki. I'm a Reiki master, and I've been doing it since I guess back 91, I guess. And you know, you get a feel for this, being in the healing arts. I've been a healer my whole life, so this is a really powerful technique. Reiki is very gentle, but this power-based stuff, getting right into the field, it's much more powerful. And I've discovered that you have to be careful with it, and you can't really use that power. You could you could have a really harsh effect on people if you're not careful. So that's kind of where I'm at with the healing thing. Do you have any more questions?
Thank you, Rob. That's amazing. Yeah, you know, we heard from Adrian earlier in the broadcast how all of a sudden, you know, with 20,000 people in Washington, D.C., there was no murders in 2 weeks, which had been unheard of. And I know for a fact that the Power of 8 groups are just having these incredible successes. So I encourage you guys to find a group of 8 if you want to do some experimenting of meditating in a group, because it really is powerful. And Adrian, I just want to see if you have any other final things to share with us. What did you call the field in the beginning? You called it the cosmic library or something. It's not that, but what was
I literally called it that. Yeah, it's for some, because it's what it felt to me. Because like, you know, every time like you have a question for, you know, and you know, pretty much, you know, you think you don't know something, but you really do if you just tune into this cosmic library. You know, so that's I call it. But yeah, final messages. Wow. Find time to be of service, you know, any way possible. If that's something that you already do and you're overdoing it a little bit, like myself, find self-care. And I'm learning that a little bit the hard way, because I'm just trying to give. And then a lot of times you can't really give much when your cup's empty. But so many people right now, your cup's so full, and it's such an important time to like be of service, whether it's cleaning up a park or, you know, helping our dear elders that have so much life experience. Just listen and hear some life experience, you know. Go buy a case of water. It's starting to get hot in so many places, and maybe drop it off under an underpass in some homeless encampments. Be of service. I think that's really my message, is to find some time in this construct to be of service.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You are the epitome of being in service, and we're so grateful that you were in service to us tonight, and we're so grateful that you were able to share your message. Thanks for bearing with some of the technical difficulties we've had tonight, and we love all you guys. Thanks for being here tonight, and we'll see you in the field.
Thanks for having me on tonight. It's been such an amazing experience to co-create with y'all, and super blessed. Thank you for having me.